So one needs to ask oneself that yes, one thing is that we need to know a lot more about the universe in order to operate in it more meaningfully. And as Upanishad said, that this universe is quite contrary to what we think the universe to be. Because this universe, as we saw yesterday, is like a very, very complex design. And that design is not just random, because they show that there are patterns in everything. So what is interesting is when you begin to see the patterns, this is exact. Did you see the movie The Man Who Knew Infinity?
Yeah.
Did you see Ramanuja? So that was about this Ramanuja. And at a young age, he was growing up in South India, and he was one of the greatest mathematicians that the world has had. And he used to just like, the Brahmin guy, just little in the temple and all. But what he started seeing in this universe are all complex patterns. And those patterns were repeating themselves everywhere. So therefore, based on that, and then he was able to do all that. He had insights, he was able to do predictions, he was able to discover things that were way beyond anybody's understanding. So he was called at Cambridge, Oxford. He was called at Cambridge, and at Cambridge he was working with the head of physics department, and the approach that you generally have in the university is what? Go linearly, and then what? You come to the final thing. What happened in his case is he saw the final thing, but he didn't quite know how to arrive at what through these logical steps.
So he saw all the equations, and the theorems and the actions and so on. It was already there.
It was already there.
Yeah.
So, but there was such a struggle. It was a nice movie because that normal linear process of learning that we are used to, he didn't conform to that at all. And at the same time, he had far more knowledge than anybody could have through the linear process. So then there was always this dialogue between this Cambridge professor and him, which were brilliant. And the movie ends with a brilliant line. The movie ends with a brilliant line because the professor is fascinated by Ramanuja's knowledge. But he says, I understand all these things that you are talking about very well, all these complex formulas and theorems and everything. But I don't quite understand this God that you are talking about. So the professor tells Ramanuja. And Ramanuja replies back and he says, I don't see any God which is other than what? These complexities. This is what we name as what? Ishwara.
The intelligence.
The intelligence which is this complex design where we try to do theorems and all, how complex it is. And that complex theorems are already worked out to make everything what it is. So what he says for me, and he said one more thing. He said, if I did not see God in it, everything will become just meaningless to me. It would become just so dry, just this formula, so what would it be? So that is what is important to recognize is that when we talk about Ishwara, it's not the normal understanding of Ishwara that people have, which is what? Some entity out there, away from me, governing my life. If that is the image you carry of Ishwara, one would always struggle, because that is difficult. But in and through, this is why we show these kind of videos where we try to communicate what we mean by Ishwara. All that was shown is Ishwara. One different aspects of Ishwara. And in fact, even the scientists, when they begin to see the universe and try to understand the universe, they are actually looking into the whole design. It's almost like getting into the mind of Ishwara. Now, the question which is not answered here is, where do you place yourself in this design? If you think you are this little entity, you think that, yeah, okay, this entity is a result of evolution of, I don't know, billions of years, so that itself is wonderful. And it's not a norm, the capacities that they are endowed with, they have developed over what? Billions of years of evolution. Wonderful. So at least what, when you look at your body and look at your mind, still you will be in awe. You will not what? Have a kind of a disrespect for it. Because the universe has taken billions of years of evolution to give you what you have today. So don't just waste it away. Don't just think that this is, we take everything that we have given, the masterpieces we have been born with, and we take it for granted. So therefore, that changes your attitude towards that very form. But that form itself, if it is the final reality, still, even though it's a highly evolved form, it still is what? Very, 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 very small. Very, very small. The enormity of the universe, even when we look at the things that we know, we feel small. Then if you look at the entirety of the universe, then we are such small dots. If that was the reality about us, then we can be in awe and we can enjoy our form. But at the same time, it does not solve the problem of what? Mortality. It does not solve the problem of what? Inadequacy. Because you still remain very small compared to the universe, which is huge. So therefore, Vedanta, as Surya said, is not just merely reiterating what science is saying. If Vedanta was only merely reiterating what science is saying, you don't need Vedanta. Because scientists are able to give you a lot more information, what I call an intelligence. They showed all in detail as to how it worked to develop human eye. Started with what? This
trilobite.
Sand. And it evolved over a period of time. So that means what I talk about it is far more in detail. So you don't need Vedanta. So why do you need Vedanta? Because there is something more to show. We have something else other than this to show. And that is, where would you place yourself in this vast scheme of intelligent design? Are you one of the forms, or are you more than one of the forms? More than these forms. So therefore, how it is so? So we started, the fourth verse started with what this whole inquiry about our relationship with the form. That you are born related to one form is a fact. Nobody is questioning that. But you are born related to that form. Does it mean you are the form, or what? You are connected to the form? Yeah. So that means that was the nature of the inquiry. So how we did that inquiry was, we looked into the form. The form has two aspects. The first aspect of the form is what we call the physical aspect, which is what we call the physical body. Yeah? And that, that physical body we saw is nothing but, if you use Vedic model, you will say what it is, what just a combination of 5 elements. Akasha, Vayu, Agni, Apana and Prithvi. Space, air, water, fire and earth. But if you use a scientific model, let's replace it by a scientific model, and they showed yesterday that it's nothing but cells. From a single organism, it has evolved into a complex, multicellular organism. So that means, so that still the fact is that it is cell. And what is our relationship with the cell? Whether you take 5 elements or you take cell, what is your relationship with the cell? Are you the cell or you have cell which is making the body what it is? See, nobody says that I am the cell. Why? Because cell is something that you can, when you go for a test, then what happens? They take some cells and they will check. And then, do you think that that is what? Obviously an object. It leaves your body and you are still very much there. So if one cell is not I, group of cells also doesn't become what? I. That is just logic. So therefore, we say that the group of cell, which is the body, is not I. Then what we did is, we did the same with reference to the form. The same form has another aspect, which is what? The subtle. What is that? The mind. So that means...
What is the second thing you said?
So the same form. So we are looking at the relationship.
One is body, second
One is
mind.
the mind. So the mind, which is what we call a subtle form. Why do we call mind a subtle form? Because I can see your body, but I have no access to what you are thinking. Unless you verbalize it, I don't know what you are thinking. So therefore, it's subtle. Because my eyes cannot see. That's why it is subtle. What is, we live our life thinking I am as good as the mind. So what Vedanta says is, through series of different logics, it shows you your relationship with the mind. The first logic that we used was, what was the first logic we used? Just right now, see that the next thought is going to come and I'm going to say the next sentence. Am I there before that next word comes out? Yes. Am I there when I'm speaking that word? Yes. And when that word goes and takes what gives way for the second thought, are you there? Yes. The very fact, you don't need to examine millions of thoughts. You understand your relationship with one thought and it is true for what? All.
It becomes universal.
It will become universal, and it will become universal because it's not only true for my thought, it's also true for you, and it's also true for you, and it's also true for you. So therefore, this relationship with the thought, then we use second logic. The second logic is, if imagine if there was no distance between you and the thought, then what will happen is, you will carry with you all the thoughts that you have ever thought of as your intrinsic nature. If it was your intrinsic nature, then you should be able to what? Tell me exactly what all your thoughts are. Not only today, but because that's your intrinsic nature. Intrinsic nature means you can't give it up. The very fact that you don't even know your past thought means that they're not sticking to you right now. So that is the second logic we used to make us understand the distinction between the mind and I. So that means the other thing which we used, which is the last logic we used, and that was through a bottle. That is a very important logic also. See, these are all series of logics. So you have to use that logic to think differently. In spite of the logic, you continue to think what you think. That means that you are not following what is being said. So here, in terms of appearance, this bottle does look what? Blue. It does look orange. It does look, if I put Rachna's blue, that other blue, yeah. So that means it will keep on what? It will look as though the bottle is what? Changing its colors. In fact, you can use the same logic to negate that the bottle has no color. How? You can say if the bottle was intrinsically blue, it cannot give up what? Blueness. If it was intrinsically orange, it cannot give up orangeness. If it was intrinsically white, it cannot give up whiteness. So that means, since each one replaces the other, that means it has to be what? These are all incidental attributes. None of them are what? Intrinsic to the bottle. So that means, and then imagine, if this world was programmed in a way that one cloth will come, the orange cloth will come, it will go for a little bit of time, you will see what? The bottle as it is. Then immediately the next cloth will come and what? It will make it again look blue. Then that will go. Then again you will have what? The bottle as it is, and then. So now in that, if you just, and if the gap was very small, and if you go by the visual, what will it seem to you?
You miss it.
Huh?
You miss it.
You miss it. So if I have to, I can't change the design, but if I have to show you that the bottle is free, I am not able to stop the cloths because that's part of the design. But I still need to show you that the bottle is clear. How would I show you?
When it's there, no matter whether the clock comes or clock goes, it's there.
Absolutely. So that means when I say, it is almost the same thing we do with the thoughts. Please understand. The thought comes and this awareness seems to have what? Taken that form. Then that thought goes. What remains is what? In between two thoughts. What remains is just awareness. Then the other thought comes. Then that other thought goes. What remains? Awareness. When the thought is there, which is equivalent to this orange, is awareness displaced? So using your own experiences, and you keep missing awareness because your attention is always on thoughts. So using this, we are making you see something which you always have been missing. Which is, we are not producing anything new. So this is how you use the teaching to make you see your true nature. The teacher is not producing anything new. The teacher is not giving you a big advice on how things should be, or that, oh, this orange is a bad color and that thing is a good color. It is nothing to do with anything, it's just showing you the reality.
Also in the big scheme of things, one simple thought or some simple situation
Yes.
is one moment. It's going
Yes.
to pass by.
It is going to pass by.
If you are attached to the thought, the mind becomes the thought, and then it keeps on collecting dirt in your mind.
Absolutely.
And it keeps creating a pressure all that.
Absolutely. See, the teaching is working at two levels. The first verse of Isha Upanishad is saying what? That you have to see that intelligent design, and when you see the intelligent design, you need to align yourself to that intelligent design. That is all done at the level of what? The mind.
So first three verses are saying
The first
that. Can
three-
you repeat that?
Yeah.
I want to make a note of
Yes.
three words.
Yes. The first three verses are talking about, the first two verses are actually talking about what? It is making you see the fact that there is this, you have been living in this universe thinking that, you are just, somehow you operate only from, I want this, and somehow try to get what you want. And in the process of doing that, you have developed hundreds of notions about who you are, hundreds of notions about the nature of the world, nature of the people, your position in the scheme of things. So you are just living randomly in some ways, in spite of achieving so much. Still, the understanding is not at all proper. So what it makes you see is, yeah, whatever you have achieved is wonderful, but look at the design. The more you understand the design and more you align with it, the more is going to be what? your life with less conflict, and it is going to become easier. So the first two verses are talking about the presence of that bigger design and the importance for you to align to it to accomplish.
That's very
this.
important. Aligning.
Yeah, absolutely. The third verse is talking about the fact that through this process of aligning, you can achieve a lot, but you are still within what? Samsara, life of becoming. So that is not the ultimate goal. It is essential, but it is not the ultimate goal. The fourth verse is then talking about, then what is the ultimate goal? The ultimate goal is to really question, am I this form with this physical body and the mind who is just supposed to understand the world better and align to it, or am I much more than that?
Question.
So that is a question which is beyond that, which is what, which is a healthy thing.
Which is we have to ask ourselves.
We have to
always.
ask yourself. And when you ask yourself this question, the answer is in doing the inquiry where you are trying to figure out your relationship with this form, which is the body and the mind.
My relationship to the form.
Yeah. So what you then discover is the fact that I'm specially related to one form, correct, but I am not that form. I'm much more than that form. So the Upanishads point out that the relationship with two essential entities with which we have identification. It negates that you are as good as the body. It also negates what you are as good as the mind through this series of logic. Three essential logics are given to make you see your relationship with the body and mind. So this is what we say, it's a whole teaching is handled what? Systematically and with a sophisticated methodology.
Beautiful.
So it's a question of chipping away.
So then we are chipping away. We are chipping away. It's not like I'm just telling you some random thing. Slowly, slowly, slowly we are moving towards that. So now, if we have discovered that I am this awareness and the thoughts, as Viresh is saying, they come and go. No matter how noble that thought is, it is still what? The thought. It will go. No matter how criminal the thought is, it is what? It will also go. But that doesn't mean that the noble and criminal thoughts are the same. I am not saying that. They are different. And the first step is to become a person who is thinking nobly by recognizing your connection with the universe. But the second step is seeing something more than that. So that means you move from violent thoughts to noble thoughts, then your true nature, which is free from all thoughts. But you can't jump from violent thoughts to free from all thoughts. What is the essential step in between noble thoughts? You move like that. That is what we call evolution. You can't jump. Even though ultimately you are saying I'm free from thoughts, you still have to go through what? Converting your violent thoughts into noble thoughts. You can't skip that space, that whole step. So therefore, and that noble thought comes as a result of you seeing your connection to the universe. Now, this, let's say, yesterday we ended at the fact that let's say if all of us who have special relationship with one form, all of us discover that I am awareness and I am distinct from the form, then the next question is, how many awarenesses are there?
Only one.
Yeah. How? It's true, what you're saying is right, but as I told you, see, it's true, but one has to, the whole the reason why Vedanta is something that even physicists look into is because everything is backed by reason.
Everything?
Backed by reason.
If each one had a different awareness, we would again be dependent on everything. It would become like an object again, wouldn't it?
Yeah,
So
exactly.
it would again say, oh, your awareness is better than mine, or your awareness is not as good as mine, and it would just go on.
Exactly. See, when we are thinking about, wonderful, if, as Rashna is saying, if I make a statement that my awareness is better than hers, then I need to show what is the characteristic of my awareness which is superior to the characteristics of what?
Mine.
Rashna's awareness. But all the characteristics, where do they belong?
To the
Exactly. All the characteristics belong to body and mind. So you can make a statement that my body is probably less healthy than yours. I can make that statement. It's true. Maybe it may be true. I can make a statement that the Einstein's mind was the IQ was probably much higher than the average IQ that we all enjoy. True. That is not at all what, we are not trying to change that.
The problem here is the quality of the mind, because mind has a tendency to run after everybody.
Yeah, exactly. So that means
Unless you
the
don't clear
qualities.
that, or
Yeah.
don't strengthen your mind.
So that is the part of the first verse. Strengthen your the mind in order to see.
See the intelligence.
Yeah, intelligence. And by that, now we are talking about your relationship with, even if you have the noblest mind, exactly, is still you're not happy. So now we
It
are.
falls in very nicely after you explain the verses.
Yes.
How we are progressing
We are
towards the
progressing, exactly. So therefore, now we are, so that means I can make a statement, I can compare your body with my body, I can compare my mind with your mind, because they both have different attributes. But when it comes to awareness, we have already negated, it's like through this example, they are not the attributes of awareness, they are attributes of body and mind. The subtle,
It's
they are
just pure
attributes of
consciousness.
that pure consciousness, what is different in your consciousness which is different from mine? Does it have any attributes?
No.
It has no attributes. It has no attributes, so that means we have no basis to make the statement that there are two. Because if you say that my awareness is one and your awareness is different, I necessarily have to answer that question, what is the attribute of my awareness which makes it different from your awareness? But we don't have that answer because there is no attribute to the awareness. Awareness, and the minute there are two, you will have what? Different attributes.
But can't you be a different state of awareness?
See, this different stage is at the level of mind. That, of course, you are, right? That's why you can say that this person is way more evolved than the other person. That is, of course. But that's fine. That's fine. We are still talking at the level of mind. And we are not negating that. What we are showing is one more reality. So therefore, this is why. The minute if they will, sorry?
It makes them limited.
They will make it limited. And also, that means that, see, the minute there are two, you have to say one is this, the other one is that. But actually there is none of the attributes stick to awareness. So that means awareness is one and forms are many. Yeah? So, this is what we saw in the fourth. Now, this vision of oneness has now evolved. Viresh cannot stop talking about vision of oneness. Vision of oneness. It is amazing. Yeah. Now, the vision of oneness, please understand, it has evolved. What we understood before was what was understanding of vision of oneness when we did the first verse.
Because what I am seeing everywhere is the same thing.
Ishwara.
What does it mean? Is everywhere pervading the same thing.
Exactly. In the first verse, when we talked about the oneness, we saw Ishwara everywhere. In the fourth verse, we see what everywhere?
Awareness.
Awareness. What is our relationship with awareness?
He's
I am-
one. We are one.
We are the awareness.
We are the awareness. So now, what is very interesting is, if Ishwara is everywhere, and if I am also everywhere, if I put my eye in the awareness, do you understand?
Yeah.
But at the same time, can I say that as I think, do I have the knowledge that Ishwara has?
No.
No.
Whatever my knowledge is this particular time,
That is related to what your mind, which is limited. And Ishwara is that intelligence which has been there for billions of years, which has caused the sandworm to see the eye, and then got that process to evolve over a period of time, which makes my eye as complex as it is. It is that intelligence. So the scale of the intelligence that we are talking about is not at all the same. So in that case, now the final question that we need to ask is, what is the relationship between this awareness that is my nature, which is all pervasive, and and the nature of Ishwara, which is intelligence, which is this amazing intelligence, which is what creating the universe billions of years ago. And that intelligence is also what is the relationship between that intelligence and this awareness?
there are two questions. Basically.
There are two questions.
What is the question?
So Ishwara. So I just.
Yeah, go ahead. She has the answer.
No, I don't.
Yes. No,
I
very
may be wrong.
Yeah, are you playing a role or you're serious?
Oh, that's a great question.
The beggar.
You have to guess.
Yeah. No, one.
Go
So,
ahead.
just with Ishvara, which is also constantly moving, unmanifest, manifest, so it has all those attributes. It has all intelligence, it has all power. So if it has attributes, it can't be awareness in the pure sense, right? So, so the relationship between would be the same sort of way like we are with awareness. In its own way, it would also collapse into awareness. Same way.
Dependent. Yeah. So what? She's got it. It's wonderful. Very good. Now, let's look at the fifth verse, which is then explaining that relationship. Yeah? You understood the series of logic and
Yeah.
where we have come to?
That's very important.
Yeah, that is very important. Because otherwise what will happen is
Yeah,
you talk
everything
about
will get
different ideas and you don't know where they all fit into the major.
I wanted to ask you, that 3 or 4 words, you can still just in the name explain it to them. But this is beautiful, what Stephen showed.
Okay. So that it says, Tat ejati, tat na ejati, tat dure, tat antike, tat antarasya, sarvasya, tadu sarvasya bahyataha. Okay? Now we are trying to understand the relationship between this awareness and everything else. Sorry?
It's very, you have to understand that sometimes you're using words that, of course, for me doesn't mean anything. So
No, that's true. That's why I'm just reading.
Yeah, but
I'm just
translation
reading.
is,
Yeah. No,
They
that's true.
purposely kept it that way for us to think. Yeah, that's true. Ask him.
See, the thing is that, Roberto, is true, that when you hear unfamiliar words, it kind of throws us off, right? That's so true. But what the importance, I can always just explain everything in English without even saying the verse. But the thing is, this whole knowledge is not my creation, it comes from the text. And it is expressed in that text. So as a kind of our respect for the text, you have to, what? You have to-
Most important.
So you have to say what you see it here, and then you explain. Yeah. So here it says, this is very, very important. It says that awareness, that consciousness, it says from the standpoint of Upadhi moves, but from its own standpoint it does not. Yeah? Being of the nature of not undergoing any change. That Atma is far off for ignorant people, but that consciousness is very near for the wise. The Atma consciousness being very subtle, it exists in the universe. It is being of the nature of all pervasiveness, exists outside of the universe, manifesting as name, form and activity. What is now important to understand is what is this Upadhi and what is not the Upadhi. The Upadhi, let's come back to. So here it says that the same awareness, it seems to be moving in this universe, but actually from its own standpoint is what? State. Does not, has no attributes. It doesn't have any characteristics. So now let's look at, yeah, if this is defined as definition. This is defined as Upahita, Sanskrit word, Upahita. What is Upahita? That which, as though, takes on the attribute of something else that it actually doesn't have.
Yeah.
So when I put orange, the bottle as though takes on the attribute of orangeness, which actually it
Not orange.
does not have. So this
It's an illusion,
becomes,
basically.
so this becomes Upadhi. It lends its attribute to something else, as though lends its attribute to something else. This becomes Upahita. What is Upahita? The Upahita is that which as though takes on the attribute. Upadhi is that which as though lends its attribute, so that is what the orange, as though the cloth, as though lends its attribute to the bottle without actually doing it. And the bottle as though takes on the attribute of orange without actually ever changing it. So that means if you see from the standpoint of the Upadhi, the bottle has now taken what? Orange, and then orange goes and what? The blue comes, so the bottle what keeps changing. From the standpoint of the Upadhi, it seems like what? The bottle keeps changing from blue to orange to green to red. But from its own standpoint, does it change? Has it ever changed?
No.
It has never changed. So that means that awareness seems it's because of its contact with the forms, and the forms are changing, it seems as though what? Awareness is changing. And this is what Rachna was saying. The world is changing. The forms are changing. They're in a constant flux. You saw in the movie how everything is in a constant flux.
Whole world is constant.
Constant flux. Whether it is the external world, or it is your body, or it is your mind, everything is in a constant flux. So because every object is in a constant flux, we conclude that Atma is also in a flux. This is why we make a statement, oh, those were the days
When I was young.
when I was young. Exactly. So that means that from the standpoint, this is exactly what it is saying, from the standpoint of the Upadhi, if you look at this whole universe from the standpoint of the forms, it is constantly changing. But if you see it from its own standpoint, then it is what? It has never undergone any change. So this is why the whole teaching is not that right now you are bound, and if you do this, then you will be free. What is the teaching?
That you're already.
You are already free. But in order to enjoy the freedom, you need to prepare your mind so that you understand your true nature well. And in order to prepare the mind, you need to become noble. That is true. But ultimately, nobleness and what? Cruelty, none of them are what? The attributes of Atma. So therefore, this Atma, from the standpoint of the Upadhi, it seems like moving, it seems like changing, but from its own standpoint, it is what?
It's constant, no change.
It is constant, it does not undergo any change. It is never even a little bit tainted by whatever the characteristic of the form is. Now, the limitation of this example is that this bottle is completely independent of the cloth. So that means they both enjoy, in philosophical terms, what we say, same order of reality. Same order of reality means this is an empirical existence. This bottle is empirically true, and this cloth is also empirically true. And they both don't depend upon each other at all. It's that the cloth can come and go, but the bottle, does it do anything? No. And if the bottle comes and goes, does it really have any impact on the cloth? No. So that means that is the meaning of they enjoy the same order of reality. Now,
Both are independent.
both are independent of each other. They don't really
But by
influence.
this you conclude that the Ishwara, which is an intelligence, the whole intelligence, for billion years govern the universe and is evolving.
It's evolving, exactly.
And our awareness is not.
Yes.
Wonderful.
But how come?
So that means you need to still know. Wonderful, that is true. What you are saying is
You
right.
hit the nail on the head, actually.
That is true. Roberto, what you are saying is right. We'll have to reconcile the whole thing. That is why you need 18 verses.
We were sleeping all this
Patience, patience.
we are awake.
But what you are saying is right. Up to now, what we have seen is what you are saying is true. There is one thing which is evolving and changing. The other thing is unchanging.
Where are the proof?
So this is what I am saying, no? That, see, I am showing you, see, the proof is, I am showing you. I am showing you that this awareness, the presence of awareness that we have been missing is something that I am showing you. What is the method through which I am showing you the presence of that awareness?
Negating.
Show the cloth.
Negating
Exactly.
the mind.
I'm showing you what the relationship between the awareness and the thoughts. The thoughts come and go, and the awareness is because of which you come to know the coming and going of the thoughts.
And
So-
also,
But let
if
me
you
ask you
look-
one thing. Then when he knows as a scientist better than me, when was it, about 50,000, how many years ago that the ape became Homo sapiens, and from Homo sapiens evolved. So the ape didn't have awareness, or had awareness.
Yeah. Awareness is never not there. And that's why if you can stay a little
Awareness
bit
is
with
not.
what I'm saying.
Where is
then-
awareness came up with us?
No, see that the intelligence is evolving. So, but that's what I'm saying, that we need to reconcile. What you're saying is absolutely right. There is one intelligence, which is not my intelligence, but it is Ishwara, the overall intelligence, which is constantly evolving.
Which is it from the ape or from
Which
the man?
is, absolutely, it is constantly evolving.
that's still good.
Then we also find one more thing in this universe. If I just look at my relationship, I find that there is one thing which is awareness. That awareness is something which is self-evident. I can't negate its presence. Yeah? the whole teaching is you need to reconcile between this non-changing awareness, attribute-less awareness, and that all-evolving intelligence. That is what you need to understand the relationship. And the whole teaching leads you to understand that relationship. So you have really asked the right question. But if you stay with the teaching, you hopefully will get the answer. But what you're saying is the equation that we are trying to solve. So just
But there is no awareness there is awareness in a cow or in a dog.
Yeah. See, the minds are very different. So the way the minds
But
operate.
awareness is not mind.
So that's
Yeah,
what
exactly.
So the minds are very different, but awareness is always there. But we will see the relationship. You don't need to believe me. I'm showing you. Just stay with this verse. I'm showing you. In fact, every question, which is a logically thinking question, will all be addressed. So don't worry. The teaching is like that. So any logical person, if you don't have a logical mind and if you ask random questions, it's very difficult to address. But if you ask a logical question, in the text, there are answers. So you don't need to worry about it. So,
we've come to this class by wearing a colorful glasses and seeing the world. And we are cleaning the glasses, we are not cleaning our internal self. This is the problem. So with this knowledge, you might be able to see the truth.
both, yeah. And the teaching helps you both in clearing the glasses and clearing the heart and clearing everything so that you can begin to see.
Right now we are making actions, and all those actions what we are making, we are not thinking of awareness at all. We are basically making a mind and intellect and just living the life with body consciousness.
Absolutely. So what it says is, if you have lived your life intelligently and if you have recognized with the presence of the overall intelligence within which you are working, then you are living intelligently.
Aligning.
And ultimately, after aligning, and then you can know something more about the universe. And now we are talking about knowing something more about the
At least
universe.
we unfolded the awareness, the first shot.
Yes.
Now there are a lot of shots.
There are a lot of shots, exactly. See, it may seem as if the teaching is over, but actually the teaching is not over. That's why you need to answer all these questions. And in fact, the whole teaching leads you to this answering and reconciling. That's how the whole teaching is. So therefore, let's come back to what this verse says. And this verse says that this glass and this cloth have got two distinct objects
Correct. Independent of each other.
enjoying the same order of reality. They are both empirically true, and both empirically true means one is quite independent of the other. The cloth can come and go, but it doesn't influence the bottle, and the bottle can come and go, it does not influence the glass, the cloth. However, when it comes to the Upadhi and Upahita with reference to the awareness, it is not the same. What did we say is awareness is equal to the bottle. And everything, every form is equal to the colors, the cloth.
This
Now,
illusion big.
So, no, this relationship, which is in the final analysis, is what we call Satya Mithya relationship. It's not the two things enjoying the same order of reality. In this case, they both enjoy what? The same order of reality. In the final case, between all the forms and awareness, the relationship is not what? There is one thing which is all the forms, the other thing which is awareness, and both are what? Independently existing. It's not like that. So, to show the relationship, we use the terms Satyam and Mithya. The term Mithya is defined as that which has a dependent reality. term Satyam means that which has independent reality. So that means let us look at this awareness which is not undergoing any change and its relationship with all the forms which are constantly changing. What is the relationship? The relationship is, now let us examine that table. Now this table, what is it, if I ask you what this object is, what will you say?
Skin.
It's, yeah, exactly. It's a table. Then if you just disregard this glass part, but if you just pay attention to this scale, so then if you say it's a table and if I say it is scale, then who is more right?
Both are right.
Both are right. Both are right because there is a table, you can't deny it. But there is also what?
The cane.
A cane. Now, if you say, Faye said that it is cane. Now, if Faye tells me that, okay Neema, you think it's table. So you keep the table, but I think it's cane, so I will take the cane. If she takes a cane, what would I be left with?
Glass.
Hanging. So that means the relationship between table and cane is what? Satya Mithya relationship. What is a Satya Mithya relationship? One entirely depends on the other, whereas the other one is what? Independently existing.
The glass is dependent.
No.
The glass is, that is a different story. Here now we are only talking about the cake. Yeah. So that means while the table cannot exist without the material, which is the cane can exist without being a table. Why? The cane can still be used to what?
It takes another form.
Another form. Becomes a chair. Then it can become some table of another size, another shape, another place, become everything. So that means while the table cannot exist without the cane, so that's why table becomes what? Mithya, dependent reality, and cane becomes what? An independent reality. Satya. Because look at this. What is the relationship between Satyam and Mithya? You have to understand one thing. Wherever there is Mithya, that's exactly where there is Satyam. Don't look for Satyam which is transcending or beyond. If you begin to look for Satyam which is transcending or beyond, what are you doing? You are separating. The minute you separate, that awareness becomes just an object in the universe. So therefore, you have to understand where there is Mithya, there is Satya. What is the magic, so-called magic is Satyam, which is cane, pervading the table. All along the table there is cane, but the cane pervading the table is free from what? The attributes of the table. That is amazing. Pervading it, the table has height. The table, if you can ask how many feet is this table? The table is what? 2 feet, yeah. And then it has what? The breadth. It has length, height, all of that, right? So the table has attributes. But the cane is free from every attribute of the table because, why? Because you can use the same cane to make something of a totally different attribute. You can change the height, you can change the width, you can change the length, you can change everything. So, being all over, it is free from what the characteristics of the form. Amazing. Pervading the form, it is free from the attributes of the form. Now, you can say, what about the cane? Is cane really the reality? No. The cane itself depends upon what?
Tree.
The tree. The cane comes from tree. So that means the cane itself is now, with reference to the table, cane became Satyam and table became Mithya. Now, with reference to the tree, cane becomes Mithya and what becomes Satyam?
The tree.
The tree. Now, with reference to, is the tree independent reality or a dependent reality?
Dependent.
Dependent reality. What does it depend upon?
Rain,
The waters, yeah, soil,
The sun,
sun,
exactly.
everything.
So that means that itself is what? And itself, that form comes from, so many cells. So that means
anything doesn't change the past, future, past, present, and future. It's a true reality.
So that means, so what we are seeing here is Mithya is what?
Forms.
Forms, and they are changing. Please understand.
Form, yeah. Similarly, human being change, yeah.
The different forms are keeping on changing, and they are constantly evolving, as Roberto says.
And evolution.
And evolution, the whole species can change.
Species have changed, yeah.
You see?
Global warming has started.
All
Change.
the external environment can change. All these, constantly the forms are going on changing.
So in a certain way, if the tree becomes Mithya,
Yes.
because of the sun, etc., then it's indirectly or eventually is Mithya of the Ishwara.
Wonderful. Wonderful. In fact, what Roberto is saying is exactly, it's so true.
What is it?
How far? He's very true. He's very, very right. And what he's
Roberto, why you
saying,
said
how
it so
far, it's very good. If you keep on saying that this is Mithya, that is Mithya, that is Mithya, where will you come to? You come down to where? You come down to Ishwara.
Consciousness.
You come down to Ishwara, the intelligence. In fact, if you look at this science, they will go as far as what? Atoms.
That's the formula you're looking for.
That's the formula we are looking for. Exactly. So you are going to what? Atoms, then you are going to particles, then you ask one more question, that particles are nothing but quarks. Then quarks are what? Again something. So that means, where does it all come from?
Where did this come from, the molecule?
Yeah. So if everything, one thing is dependent upon something else, that is again dependent upon something else, that is dependent upon something else, then what? What is, the question still is, what is that upon
Which is
which
not dependent.
everything, exactly.
Because when you look at the world, the maker and the material is one. It is not separate.
So you come back, really you come back to the intelligence. The intelligence from which makes it possible for these what tiniest particles to come. And those tiniest particles are not just random, they will organize themselves, yeah? And depending upon how they organize themselves, at every level of organization, there is what? A new attribute which comes into being.
But it still didn't answer my awareness.
Yes. Yes. That is
It's coming.
true. It's coming. It
Yeah,
all has
but
to come in a step.
You
It
can't,
cannot come just randomly.
you can't get it, you have to wait
You
for
have
some
to
more
get it.
classes. Sure.
We are pregnant now, it takes 9 months.
But it still doesn't answer, you're right. It still doesn't answer. But one thing that we have come to is that the whole fact that I am awareness, and the whole world which I saw, which is all these different forms, and which I had concluded to be all separate and all different, they've all collapsed into one Ishwara. Ishavasya Idam Sarvam. We've come back to the first verse. Every form, when I really look into the truth of that form, I only find what? The intent. I only find Ishwara. There is nothing other than Ishwara. So that means these forms have collapsed into the entire Jagat. The Jagat means all different forms of past, present and future, known to me, unknown to me, they've all collapsed in what? Ishwara. Now, the only thing that means the Jagat is all swallowed, Jagat is Mithya and Ishwara has become what? Satyam, the independent reality from which the dependent reality has come. Now, we have also got another what? Awareness. So we have two phenomena now. The whole world is gone now, swallowed into Ishwara.
Is Mithya Jagat?
Every form which constitutes Jagat is swallowed by Ishwara.
And
So
we
now-
are behaving in the world and acting on name or form only.
Exactly, and this is why every form which does not know the presence of Ishwara, imagine what they are missing out on. If there is one presence which pervades everything and governs the behavior of everything, and in your living you miss it out, what is the nature of that loss? Then you live your life with such a partial vision. And with that partial vision, if you try to fix the world, then neither the world gets fixed nor you get fixed.
That is what is happening.
That is what is happening. So therefore, now what has happened is, now all that is here is this intelligence, and there is also one more phenomena, which is awareness. So the question is, what is the relationship between this ever-evolving intelligence, which is Ishwara, and the whole world, which is all names and forms, are nothing but manifestation of that Ishwara and that awareness, which is who? Which is I am. What is what? Are there two independent realities? Ishwara is one thing and awareness is something totally different, or they are also related?
Related.
They are also related. What is the relationship?
Satyam. Yeah, they're dependent.
There is again Satyam Mithya. What is Satyam and what is Mithya?
Anything
That awareness. Awareness.
Anything what you are dependent reality is Vidya.
Exactly.
Anything which is the past, present and future remains same is
Is
the
the Satyam. Absolutely. So
never
that
changes.
is-
It
it is
never
unchanging.
On this is
Exactly. So now, as Neema said,
past, present and future is same.
but yeah, but what he's saying is right. Let's just understand it.
Yes.
Yeah. The answer is right, but we need to go through it to the first step. The step is, you just now, the world, the whole world that you have looked, you find only two things. One is what? Non-changing awareness, and the other one is evolving intelligence, which is what we call Ishwara. Now you need to find the vision of oneness means what? They cannot be two totally independent things. They are also related. So you need to find the right relationship between what? The evolving intelligence, which is changing all the time, and awareness, which is what? Attribute free, non-changing, free. reality.
Well, you didn't tell me yet the idea that awareness is not part of Ishwara.
No, I'm not. I'm looking at the... No. I am exactly. In fact, it is. What you are saying is right.
Yes.
What you are saying is right. In fact, I need not prove to you that they are two different things, because they are one. So this is where exactly. So now, what is the relationship between intelligence and awareness is what? Again, there is a relationship, and that is again Satyam. What is Satyam and what is Mithya? As Neema said, Ishwara, the all intelligence. You just ask yourself, my little intelligence, it depends upon what awareness, what is existence. Every thought of mine, which then, depending upon the quality of thought, I say I'm intelligent or I'm not intelligent. Every thought depends upon awareness for its existence.
It arises from
So it arises, the thought arises from awareness, it is sustained by awareness, and it goes back into awareness.
like a wave.
And the cumulative quality of thoughts will make what is what we call what? Intelligence. If my thought quality is refined, I call what? Intelligent. If my thought quality is
Good.
poor, I call myself not so intelligent. But the fact is, any thought that I have, that itself, if I look into the content of the thought, what is there? If I think, just this is what Surya is mastered in meditation, because he makes you see this reality in meditation, then you are a little bit absorbed.
Tomorrow morning.
So think about, so there is a method that is given in Taittiriya Upanishad. It says, think about a cow. So there is what? Cow thought. Cow thought. In that cow thought, the physical cow, does it enter your mind?
No.
The physical cow is outside, but you are still thinking of what? The cow. So what is happening? There is an external form. Your eyes capture what? Cow form. Then the eyes send signal where? To the brain. And the brain creates a thought of what? A cow thought. So that means that awareness that is there, which is free from everything, for the time being, it assumes what?
The cow.
The cow, which is what we call cow thoughts. Then, if I say, now think of a horse.
It changes, the form changes, everything, thought changes, awareness changes.
Awareness is unchanging. The thought changes, the cow thought goes and a horse thought comes. So now the same awareness, which is already free from cow before the thought of cow came, it also is free after the cow thought goes. It assumes what?
Horse.
A horse. Wonderful thing. It takes another form, which is what? Horse form. Then if I ask you to think about a tree, what will happen to a horse thought?
Gone.
It's gone. So the awareness, without awareness, neither what? The cow thought can exist, nor the horse thought can exist, nor what? The tree thought can exist. It assumes that given thing for a while, and then it goes. While it as though assumes, it's already free from it.
But are we talking about awareness or mind?
So this is what? The awareness and mind have a Satya-Mithya relationship. Satya-Mithya relationship is, the thought is like a table, and awareness is what? The content. That's what I'm trying to show you.
Come again, I'm sorry. What's the
The
table?
relationship, see, what we are trying to now understand, what we are really trying to understand is the relationship between intelligence and awareness. Because that was your question. So in order to understand that relationship, what we are first doing is understanding the relationship between my intelligence and awareness, then we will think about what? All intelligence and awareness.
But awareness is one thing. And
Yeah.
The thought is come from the mind.
Yeah, true. So this is why the intelligence we define, my intelligence. See, we are using a method. The method is what it leads to series of different steps to lead to what I want to answer. So you need to follow the steps because there is a whole methodology of unfolding. If you just try to answer from there and all this is unanswered, it doesn't become a clear knowledge. So the point is we want to get to your question, but we are not just answering here, we are leading you on. So just follow the series of logic. When you follow the series of logic, you will see where it will answer your question. So what we are first, because we are interested in studying the relationship between intelligence and awareness. So before we answer the question that what is the relationship between awareness and all intelligence, we are doing one more step and we are looking at what is the relationship between awareness and my little intelligence. That's what we are doing. Yeah. So the relationship between awareness and my little intelligence is the person who is intelligent. Who is the person who is defined as intelligent? Who has what? Thoughts which are more corresponding to reality than the other. Yeah. So that means that the intelligence itself is a function of nature of your thoughts. Then we are trying,
which is developing in your mind.
which is developing in your mind. Absolutely. Right now we are just looking at that relationship. Then we'll come to all intelligence. First we are just looking at my intelligence. So
That
now,
is sattva actually, the nature of the
yeah, so the nature of mind can be sattva, right? The more you are able to capture what is without adding your own colors, to that extent you are sattva. Now, but no matter what that thought is, the relationship, whether it is, here we are talking about an intelligent person whose thoughts are accurate. But the thoughts are accurate, but the thought is what? A form. As I just explained to you, a cow thought,
Here,
a
cow,
horse
horse,
thought, a tree thought. So these
It's
are
like a
what-
name of a person,
It's-
sir.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So the thought is exactly what the form. What is the content of every form?
cane, glass, whatever.
Yeah, but that's true. So that
Dependent
means those
reality.
keep changing. Those keep changing. Because the minute I think about cow, the cow comes, then the cow is replaced by horse, horse is replaced by tree. So that means the thoughts keep changing. The content of the thought is what? Awareness. That is not changing. So that means when without awareness, you can't think of
The horse.
the horse. Without awareness, you can't think of a cow. Without awareness, you can't think of a tree. But while you need awareness to think of everything, awareness is already free from
All
being a
these
cow,
forms.
being a horse, being a what? A tree. That's why you can completely give up. Not a single dot of a cow remains when you are thinking about a horse. If you keep on connecting, you'll never be able to know.
That is what is happening.
Because by the time I see the cow, if I carry the horse, then what will I see? What will be my vision?
The cow and the horse.
And horse mixed.
Mixed up.
Then
That's
the
what
next time I
happens in
think
people's
about
life.
the tree, it will be what? Cow, horse and tree.
Tree. Confusion.
Confusion.
Today the whole talk is multitasking.
Confusion. So that means the relationship between a thought, like everything else, the thought and the awareness is, the thought is a dependent reality. And awareness is what?
Constant.
Independent reality. So that means the thought is pervaded by awareness. Awareness pervading the thought is free from what? The quality of the thought. Pervading it. Free from.
Basically, awareness is a petrol.
Now,
Awareness is not there, there's nothing there.
there is nothing there. Now, so that means what we have done up to now is observe the relationship between my little intelligence, which is in form of what? Quality of my thoughts and awareness. Now let's move to the all intelligence, within which what? Your intelligence, my intelligence, everybody's intelligence exists. What is the relationship?
Sorry, between my intelligence and
No, so that means that you have your intelligence, I have my intelligence, she has, and all our intelligence are governed by what? Ishwara, which is what? One intelligence, which governs how the forms are going to be and what are going to be the characteristics of the mind. So that is what we call all intelligence. Between that all intelligence and awareness, what is the relationship?
Satyam.
Again, Satya Mithya. What is Satyam and what is Mithya?
Yes.
The intelligence cannot exist without awareness, whereas awareness is independent of the intelligence. This is why the intelligence is constantly evolving. The intelligence which is now is not going back to what it was, 1,000 or 1 billion years ago. If that was stuck with that intelligence, what will happen?
Then so much of iPhones won't be there.
And all the things which are evolving as part of if they become the intrinsic nature of the intelligence will not be able to evolve. It's stuck.
that intelligence has made all the industry, marketing, these, that.
Absolutely.
You know,
Within which
So
all the possibilities and all the future possibilities, anything that you can imagine will happen. And when that 100 years from now, all the things which were here is all what? It becomes obsolete in some ways. You operate, see, somebody who was telling me that just 50, 60 years ago, what happened is, we booked a call, trunk call. Trunk call to US was a big thing. So that means you call the operator in the morning and you will get to speak to whoever you want to speak after 8 hours, and you're waiting the whole day because you don't know. In just matter of what, 50 years, where is the technology? The technology has moved so much. Every day you can talk and you can keep track of Natasha, and this morning, absolutely. This morning, Viresh is telling Natasha is coming back. So that means, so that means the technology. So that means that new technological advance. What this has become what? Obsolete. But at that time, it was still what? Intelligence. So the intelligence is going on changing. If whatever was at that time is stuck to that intelligence, what will happen? You will not be able to move forward. So that means none of these at different times in life, different organizations, different permutations and combinations, different collapsing of the possibilities create what? New worlds.
it's good, it's happening.
Except the awareness, the nature of the awareness is
only constant is what? The awareness, which does not undergo change. So that means that whether I'm talking about the little intelligence or I'm talking about what? The intelligence which governs the whole universe, which is constantly evolving, both have only one content.
Even in
And
Africa,
what
there
is-
is a guy in the jungle, he's got the same awareness. Everybody is
So the awareness is the same.
But if the awareness was not there for different people, we wouldn't have got that evolution like today.
Absolutely. So that
So
means,
everybody's awareness is different also.
so that means everybody's minds are different.
Different,
The
yeah.
forms are different.
Yeah.
What they understand is different. The global level, the intelligence, the universe that it manifests because of the laws and because of the collapsing of possibilities, it keeps changing.
I give a different name. This awareness which is pervading in Africa, America, or wherever the person is living, the heterogeneous people,
Yeah.
And they have a different engine. One engine is 800 cc.
Yeah.
What is BMW?
Yeah.
What is Rolls Royce? Different.
Yeah.
And it produces
Absolutely.
a different thoughts, that forms.
But and all of those are within one
Within
intelligence,
from
which
awareness.
is intelligence,
Intelligence,
which is making the whole possibility happening, and the relationship between that all in, because the whole world, as he says, collapses into Ishwara.
Yeah.
And there are two things which are remaining, which is what awareness and Ishwara, the ever-changing all intelligence, which brings about all the changes in the universe. So that means, what is the relationship between those two? The all intelligence also depends upon what?
Awareness.
Awareness. So awareness is the final unchanging reality, which is truth of both one form and Ishwara, which makes every form what it is. So now, let's look at in terms of just very kind of, this is unfathomable. Sometimes it becomes unfathomable. So Upanishads give a couple of examples which makes it possible for us to what? Understand, comprehend. And even though we keep giving the same examples, those are the examples which enable you to comprehend such a big idea. Otherwise it's not easy.
No, this is amazing scripture and amazing idea. Explain awareness is not easy.
It's not easy.
It will take 3 years to explain this.
Absolutely. So that means what we have done, in fact, let's put the whole teaching that we have done so far with what? In a kind of a story form. The story form is, there is what? A wave.
Sorry,
Now
what is
that
that?
wave,
Wave.
story form, that it starts with a wave, and the wave is told that you just think that you are separate, everything else is separate, everything is, So let's look at your existence, and in fact, all the different what waves are nothing but one ocean.
She had a question yesterday, Mary Jane, wave and the ocean relationship.
So that means now you are operating from another understanding, which is what? There is one ocean, and every wave is what? Nothing but part of the ocean. Now, if part of the ocean. Now, if you really understand, what is the relationship between wave and the ocean? As Roberto said, it is something, it's a belonging. It's first of all, it's a belonging. Then what do? You begin to align with the laws. Then you ask one more question, and you in fact discover that your whole being comes from the ocean, is sustained by the ocean, and goes back into the ocean. So that means wave has a dependent reality. And what is the reality on which every wave depends?
On the ocean.
On the ocean.
Wave took a form.
Yeah, wave is a form, and ocean is one entity which contains what? Every form of the past, present and the future.
Similarly,
Now,
in awareness, all parts and forms are.
Then the wave is now very happy, it understands that there is the ocean, and then it begins to align. Then the same wave is said, but this is not the only teaching. Because then you will only live like what? A wave. Who
And
is
the ocean.
aligning, and within this alignment you will get beautiful things, but you will still remain what? A small wave.
Correct. Beautiful.
So they said, once you have done this alignment and you become a little healthy here, we are pointing out one more reality. And that reality is, look at this wave. Yes, it is part of the ocean, but if you look at the content, what is the content?
Is water.
Water.
Ocean is water.
So the wave is nothing but water. And the whole big ocean, which is a much bigger entity than wave, is also what?
Water.
Water. So that means, at that level, please understand, there are forms. If you look at the form, then what? Can you equate wave with the ocean? No. If your attention is on the form, there is no equation. One is very small, the other one is very big. But if you look at the content, you solve one side of the equation, and if you say wave is equal to water, and you solve the other side of the equation, and you say ocean is also water. So water is water. Water is free from both the wave and the ocean is. It is just H2O, it is free from both. But both have a dependent reality. Both depend upon water for its existence. So that means water is the final reality, which then first appears as what? The ocean. And from ocean comes what? All the waves of the past, present and future. So this is what we did in this Upanishad. We first made you what? So now, look at this. If you have understood what Vedanta is talking about, before when you touched the wave, you thought what? I only touched the wave. Your whole understanding of it was that it is a wave. Now, that wave, you understand that I am touching the wave, but at the same time, you are also touching the ocean, because wherever there is wave, there is also
Ocean.
the ocean. And whenever you are touching the wave, you are not only touching the ocean, but you are also touching
Water.
water. All three are there. The form, wave is there, the ocean is equally present there, and the water is also equally present. So that means, without displacing the form, it has given you understanding of what? Two more levels of reality which you have been missing so far. So that means it increases the infrastructure from where we see every form. So now you come back. You come back to yourself and you have to do the same exercise. Just as when you touch the wave, you found what? The ocean and the water. So when you touch this form, you find what? The form, which is called the individual. The Sanskrit name for that individual is what we call Jiva, the individual. The individual. That's exactly where you find what? Ishwara is the intelligence design, because of which what? Every sense of yours has developed over billions of years of evolution for it to be what it is. You find Ishwara there.
It is given free.
Yeah, it's all given. You
Everything
come
is
with
given.
this amazing design and all the possibilities. And over a period of time, this is what happens, that if you use some parts of your body much more, and if you don't use some parts over what a great length, the whole configuration will change. That is what we call intelligence. The bigger intelligence which is right now there in your form. So when you touch that, there is an individual, there is Ishwara, and there is also what? Awareness. You find all three. Just as when you touch the wave, you find all three. You find wave, ocean and water. Here also, any form you look, you will find all three. You will find what?
The body.
The form, which is what we call Jiva. You will find Ishwara is what? The intelligence design, because of which that form is what it is. And you'll also find what?
The awareness.
the awareness because of which both the all intelligence and little intelligence operate. Now, the question then is, now where is that intelligence? This verse says it is what? Nearest and it is farthest.
Awareness.
It is this awareness. This inside and outside. So this awareness, which is your true nature, where is it?
All of this.
The intelligent design will keep changing. And you don't even know what the world will look like in 100 years from now. The forms will evolve, depending upon how much we take care of the environment, the state of the environment will evolve. So that so many things are unknown. You never can know it because it depends upon, even nobody knows it.
Yeah.
Because it will be function of what are the choices that you make. And that the world will evolve according to the choices that you make. And the Ishwara, the intelligence, will incorporate what? All our choices and give us what? The corresponding result. This is something which is nothing new to Vedanta. You look at this Al Gore documentary.
Yes.
When he's talking about the environment, it's a brilliant documentary.
Inconvenient truth.
It talks about the state of the environment today and how many factors have contributed to what the state of environment being.